bad movies, bad life advice, and even worse life decisions. We cover it all here on the Life with Kenny podcast. I'm your host, Kenny. Grab a beer, sit back, and relax for this week's episode, because things are about to get weird.
What's an all-American girl like you doing with a geek like this?
Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Fuck me gently with a chainsaw.
Jimmy was off the hook. I know you really don't listen to Slipknot.
Judge Reinhold.
You are listening to a Life with Kenny podcast.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Movie Night from the Life with Kenny podcast, the podcast series where you find out why Judd Crandall feels the same way about corpses as morticians feel about their lovers, and that sometimes dead is better. I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, Patrick.
Hi. Yeah.
That was a weird intro. Yeah. We're both very confused.
Still just thinking about that in my head a little bit there.
You haven't seen the movie, as we'll soon find out, so that wouldn't really make sense to you. But
oh, good, great thing to start with then.
Yeah, I know Kyle's seen the movie, so
very long time ago though.
Sometimes
nerd.
Dead is better. Kyle is also joining us this week again.
That's me.
No other co-hosts because Ethan has dropped off the face of the planet, and
hey, don't say that.
Yeah, he's very much alive.
He found the edge of the flat. He found the edge of the flat Earth, and
he's now riding the space turtle all the way to victory.
Right.
Ethan's never been to my house, and the cops have showed up there twice looking for him.
You just hear like banging on the next door basement again. So this week we will be covering the original film of Stephen King's cult classic film adaptation of Pet Sematary. This week we were supposed to do Running Scared, the Paul Walker movie, but Kyle and Patrick came to me with the idea of doing the double feature because this Pet Sematary remake comes out this weekend.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the old movie first, and then we're going to go this weekend, and then we're going to do a completely spoiler-filled review and discussion of the remake and compare the two.
Question though, is it better than Thinner? Because I mean,
so we're going to continue talking about this here with
the new one will be better than Thinner.
Okay.
Okay, so this, what did I write down here? Yeah, it'll be spoiler filled. So it'll be like the first of our like double features that we do. Like there's a chance we'll probably do this again in the future with another watch an old and check out a remake and stuff. If you like double features like that, there is a podcast that does a bunch of horror movies called Eerie International. I just wanted to give them a shout out because they're good friends of mine. They do screamakes, so they've done things like The Thing. There's been 3 movies from The Thing. So there's one from the 50s, there was one from the 80s, early 80s, and then there was a remake, which is actually like a pre-make. So it's a prequel, remake, sequel, and it's total garbage. But those guys do that over there. So if you're
we're
into
not
that,
going to do that. I can't sit through that shit.
Yeah,
but they don't have a British guy.
They do. They're called Eerie International, and what their podcast is they have one American guy, one guy from Germany, which is a good friend of mine named Andy, who's coming here this summer actually. So you guys might get to meet him. Maybe he'll pop on the podcast. Who knows? And then a British guy named Dave. They call him British Dave because the Americans Dave as well. So
well, we have 2 German guys and a British guy.
I'm not German.
Oh
well,
yeah,
we're from a German background.
Super German.
Kyle's an honorary German from the amount of shit porn he watches in his free time. So.
I also drink a lot of beer.
Yeah.
You say shit porn, but it's just him shitting in the back of abandoned vehicles.
Man, I should have recorded that. I could have got like 1 billion hits.
Front page of Pornhub's website.
Oh man.
Okay, so we were supposed to watch Running Scared. We decided otherwise. I had this all written out, so now
we will get there.
But we also got a request. So after we watch the 2 Pet Sematary movies, we will watch Running Scared. Then Patrick will have his pick, which I don't think is still a Serbian film, is it?
Probably not. No.
Okay. So yeah, it's got to be a fucked up movie. I think that's kind of what we're going with right now for a theme.
No worries.
So we will do Pet Sematary Remake, Running Scared, Patrick's pick, and then our movie after that is going to be a recommendation from a listener named Lana. She recommended a movie called Midnight Meat Train. Have you guys heard of that movie?
I also heard that's very fucked up movie.
So aside from sharing a nickname with my friend's mom that she had in high school, I can't really tell you much about it.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah, you've seen it?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I've never seen it.
I've only heard of it because of that Erie International podcast. They went into
Jones.
it. So we're gonna dive into that.
Midnight Meat.
So you're cool with that then?
Oh yeah.
Do you want that to be your pick for that week then? So it'll be like a joke?
I'll think of it.
Like, no, I want my pick. You're not forcing that on me.
Yeah, no, that'll be a good watch. I think I remember thereabouts what happens, but it's just fucking weird.
Right. So I think what we'll do then will be we'll do it in the groups of 4 then. So we'll do my pick, Kyle's, Patrick's, and then we'll do a listener pick just to kind of switch it up. And if we don't have a listener pick that we like, that we're kind of willing to watch, we'll just go to the bucket,
Yep.
the trusty bucket. Or, maybe our one listener drops off and we don't have that person recommending movies anymore.
Yeah, Vince, if you could stop sending us Pornhub links, because it's not really something we can talk about, mate.
They're not full-length movies.
Yeah, it's
we can't get through
5-minute clips at best, which are great. I've saved a couple, but for the most part, it's not really good content, chap. So get some sleep and pick a movie.
Yeah, you were looking tired in those movies, friend. You got to shave your balls too. I got to say, Vince.
They were bulls?
Yeah, didn't you watch Dodgeball?
No, I thought they were just 2 small dogs.
A true underhog story? No, I'm just kidding.
Underhog.
Okay, so Pet Sematary 1989. It's starring Miko Jones as Gage and Fred Gwynn as Judd Crandall, who you will find out is the fellow that says, "Sometimes dead is better."
Another guy from South Park.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You don't want to bury your kid down in there.
That's that South Park episode is a parody of this movie.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, man. So that's I'm glad that you picked up on that.
Yeah.
This was directed by Mary Lambert, and it was written by Stephen King, both the novel and the screenplay. So the only other screenplay that I know of that was early on in his career Stephen King did was Maximum Overdrive, which is going to be a movie I want to get to one day. I think.
Did you say Miranda Lambert, like the singer?
No, Mary Lambert.
Oh, is that her sister?
Yeah, I don't know. Just because they have the same last name.
Jesus. Yeah, they're related.
Okay, so Patrick, Kyle, have you guys seen this movie before?
No.
Yes.
Okay, when was the last time you've watched this movie?
Probably like 15 years ago.
Okay. That's so in the words of Stained, Patrick.
Jesus Christ, you're old.
What would Stained say to that?
I'm 16, Patrick.
Been a while.
There wasn't enough A's in there.
So the big question, Patrick, do you think you'll like Pet Sematary?
I don't know. I'm skeptical, honestly, mate.
Right.
Do I think you'll like it? No.
Right. I mean, I honestly was on the fence about you guys liking Sleepaway Camp. This one, I'm like almost positive you guys are not going to like this one.
I don't remember
we'll
a whole
see.
bunch of it, but
We'll see.
there's just parts that I remember.
People have said that it's like incredible. I think.
Right. There's enough like.
Or is it like Enter the Dragon incredible?
No, so it's like there's enough. It's a really slow burn, but there's enough like fucked up imagery in it that might like sustain a person's like boredom, I guess. Okay. So like if you start getting bored, something like somewhat gnarly might happen to like take your boredom off your mind.
Like primary school.
Yeah, so like when you finish the day at primary school, you at least leave with a couple colored pictures.
Yeah.
But with this movie, it's like at the end, it just depends if those colored pictures make you feel like you've accomplished something, or if you just wasted your entire time hearing an old man say "sometimes dead is better" over and over again. So we'll find out how you I truly feel about that.
Okay.
Fuck, why did I put a passcode on this fucking phone?
Also, why do you have a purple phone case?
It's not purple.
All right
it's
then,
red.
fucking Mr. Masculine. Jesus Christ.
Right, so I'm going to go change my phone case and watch this movie. We will be back to talk about 1989's
If Kyle doesn't
Pet
wipe his cock on
Sematary.
everything. Jesus.
What?
Patrick, much like that joke, sometimes dead is better.
Amazing.
All right, we are back from watching Pet Sematary. We're going to do something different for the post show that we totally forgot about. Well, I totally forgot about. So we're going to jump into that right now, and then we're going to discuss the movie, because I don't think what we just watched is going to completely leave our minds for a little bit here. So we should be good to jump into this. What I wanted to start doing every episode is something similar to a lot of podcasts, is just talk about movies and TV shows, since this is movie night, that we've been watching, things that we've seen, things that we'd recommend, or things that we'd recommend not seeing recently. So I'll just start off right now with, I know me and Patrick both have seen the new Jordan Peele movie, Us, that just came out. Kyle, have you seen this? Do you know anything about this movie?
It's a scary movie, isn't it?
It depends who you ask.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was scary as much as like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like if you put yourself in that situation, like it's not nice,
Right.
to think about.
Yeah, I think any situation you throw one of the guys in from Tim and Eric in, it's going to be uncomfortable anyways, right?
I thought he was great in that movie.
There was one scene.
Yeah, he was incredibly good.
The where he puts his hand through his hair scene is like one of my favorites. Did you like, without spoiling it for listeners or anything, did you like the movie?
Yeah, I'd have liked them to explain the situation a little bit more. Maybe a little bit of why they were doing that.
Right.
Like, I know...
I can explain this to you off air, but it's all laid out there. It's just in a stupid fashion.
Yeah, I get the premise of the movie, but I kind of wanted to know more about how and why the others like came about.
Right.
We
don't want to say much more.
No,
just
I know.
because there's lots of spoilers. But did you like it overall?
I really liked it. Yeah, I really like Get Out as well, so I had quite high expectations.
Do you think you liked Us or Get Out more?
I think they were both level par.
Yeah. What would you rate Us off of your one viewing so far?
Probably 4.
Really? Yeah, I gave it about a 3 out of 5, and a lot of people that I know got pretty mad at me for that. So,
well, it all depends on which kind of horror you actually like.
Right.
If you go into it thinking that it's just a horror movie, like it's not. I wouldn't say it was a horror, really.
I also think upon like rewatching, I'll be able to enjoy it more for as it is.
Right?
But
I feel like there's probably 10 or 20 like little bits that you may have missed on the first viewing, and you'll be watching it, and someone will look at you, and you'll be sat there all smug.
I also think a lot of people rate movies nowadays on whether or not they classify it as like a quote-unquote cinematic masterpiece, or they give it higher ratings just because of its originality, or like something that's like different than what they've been dealing with lately. So like Hereditary, I hated. I know you liked that movie.
I did like that movie, yeah.
I feel like a lot of people gave that movie a higher rank simply just because it was more unique and original. But the actual storytelling...
So, like, my reason for liking it so much is that I really, really like all the, like, mythology and stuff surrounding different kinds of demons.
I love Satan. Hail Satan. Religion. I love that shit.
But... fucking dickhead. No, I mean, like, all the different weird kind of demons that
like
people
all the pagan,
described.
All the pagan stuff, right?
I kind of liked this take on it. There was one scene that particularly got to me. This is
Hereditary?
Yeah, this is what I loved about it. Is there was no music, there was no cue for a jump scare or anything. It was just there.
Yeah.
And if you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't see it,
Are you talking about the car scene?
No.
Yeah. The car scene is literally the only redeeming quality of that movie for me.
No, I'm not talking about the car scene.
Right, but that's, for me, that's like...
It was brutal, wasn't it? I did not expect that to happen.
And then after that, it just felt like it went downhill for me.
No, I kind of...
Yeah.
I liked the way that they explained it.
Kyle, have you seen Hereditary?
Nope.
Okay, well, let's talk about...
I don't think Kyle would like it.
I don't either.
No, I really think Kyle would probably hate it.
I'll just list off some things I've watched and see if you guys have watched them or heard of them. I revisited Old School, kind of. I started watching it the other night. Have you guys seen Old School?
Don't think so.
The Will Ferrell movie? Kyle, you've seen it, right?
Best scene in that movie is the horse tranquilizer. Fucking love that.
You're crazy, moron. That scene?
I think Patrick would love that movie.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
I think that's one we definitely need to watch for the podcast. I also watched the... I don't know if it's like a biography movie or biographical movie, but it's called The Dirt.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
It's like about Motley Crue.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's
no.
not bad. It makes me fucking laugh that Machine Gun Kelly is Tommy Lee though.
I watched a trailer of Machine Gun Kelly like actually learning drums and everything for that, and I was actually like pretty impressed with him. I wasn't a fan of him before that movie, but just seeing the behind the scenes and stuff, I grew a little bit of respect for the guy.
I think he's a fuckboy.
Well, I agree, but he also...
I love that phrase. Fuck boy.
He's a pretty talented like performer. Like anybody who's willing to like go all in to learn a new skill for a movie, I think is
Patrick,
pretty
what's
cool.
that?
What?
What's that?
What's what?
It's a little bug.
Oh, I didn't know you had
got
that.
a little beetle on you.
I haven't worn a t-shirt in this
Little
room for
tattoo.
ages because you guys just stare at my nipples all the time. See, fucking straight to chest, Kenny. Honestly, man. It's not my fault my tits are massive.
Just peacocking real fucking hard right now.
Eyes up here.
It's like sticking his ass out and he's like, quit staring.
All right, so The Dirt, yeah, decent movie.
Did you like it? Like, what would you...
It was okay.
Was there anything about that movie that surprised you? Like, I didn't know about the car wreck that happened.
I didn't... Like, I remember hearing about it, but...
And, like, his daughter had cancer. Like, I didn't know about that either.
Yeah. No, it was good.
Would you recommend it to people? Like, would you recommend Patrick watch it?
Because it's on Netflix and it's free, yeah.
It's not free, technically, but
Well,
I
yeah.
get what you're saying.
Yeah. I have seen it. I didn't know it was about Motley Crue.
You did watch it?
No, I've seen it on Netflix. Like,
Right.
just cutting about. You
Yeah,
know.
it's a decent watch.
It's based on a book that was written by Nikki Sixx about how like the band formed and some of the crazy shit that happened. It's like very apparently it's somewhat loosely based on their lives because
Like
I've heard a lot of things about it being some of the stuff being like changed.
The famous story about Motley Crue hanging out with Ozzy Osbourne and him like snorting ants. They like show that in it. It's pretty cool. Reenact it.
Jesus.
And drinking his own piss.
Yeah.
I also started watching this show I bought a long time ago called Tales from the Dark Side. Do you guys know about this?
No.
So Jordan Peele, the guy who made Us, he's doing a reboot right now for the Twilight Zone series.
Oh, yeah.
So you know the Twilight Zone, obviously.
I've never watched it.
But you know about it, right? It's
I've
like
never-
weird
yeah.
individual episodes, an episodic television series. That do you know about it, Kyle?
I went on the ride.
Oh, at Universal?
Yeah.
How was it?
Well, yeah, not is that Universal?
I don't think it would be at
it's,
Disney.
It's not. It's at. Yeah.
Universal.
No, it's Disney.
Okay. Well, you went on the ride, but you don't know anything about it.
No.
Okay.
I think it's called Twilight Zone.
So it's
remember.
basically like
It's now Guardians of the Galaxy. So.
So basically, it's like a TV series. I think it started in the 50s or something, and it's just basically like crazy stories with plot twists. They're mostly horror based. So Jordan Peele is doing a reboot. I think the first episode aired already. So I'm thinking about just checking out a couple episodes. Maybe I'll be able to come back and talk about it a little bit with you guys in the next couple weeks. But it made me want to start this series called Tales from the Dark Side, which is a similar one from the 80s, but it's all super cheesy effects and stuff. And it's got episodes directed by Stephen King and George Romero and like all these horror masters. But like some of the episodes are so bad, like they're so cheesy and so bad that they're not even good. There was one that I watched where a woman is like renting an apartment She's an actress, and her neighbor's telephone keeps ringing, and they won't stop the phone ringing. And she calls like the superintendent, and they're like, "Yeah, nobody's living in that house." So she goes to investigate. Nobody's there. She calls him back. He says that an English girl lived there, and she'd die. She'd been strangled with the telephone cord. So the girl goes back, and the telephone basically comes to life and strangles her to death.
Oh yeah, I hate it when that happens.
So some of them are really cheesy, but some of them are really good. I'll just list off a couple episodes if listeners are interested in it. There's an episode, and these are all season 1 episodes. There's one called The Odds, which is about a loan shark in the mafia. It's really good. There's one Inside the Closet, it's called, which I'll have to show you pictures of that after. It's pretty ridiculous. This guy's like hiding his deformed daughter in the closet, and he rents out that room to like a teenage girl, and she thinks it's like a rat and tries to kill it, and it ends up being like this dude's deformed daughter. It's real fucking like cheesy looking, but I'll show you. You'll look it up. Actually, just Google Inside the Closet Tales from the Dark Side, and you'll see the monster. There's also one called Snip Snip, which is about a Satanist hairdresser, which I'm recommending that for Kyle's wife if she listens. It's season 1, episode 15. It's pretty fucking cool. Yeah, and there's just a bunch.
Is this like cartoon?
No, they're like live action, but they're like cheesy 80s TV shows. Like some of them are like legit, like the ones I'm mentioning here are pretty good. Like they'd pass as, I think if they were to like redo these as like modern takes on movies and stuff, that they could pass as something actually like well done.
The furnace turned on.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention, because Kyle actually asked us about it after, but the Joker trailer dropped today, and Kyle was excited for that.
Oh yeah, love Johnny Cash.
And Patrick watched it finally.
Yeah, man. I've never really been a fan of any Batman or Marvel or DC, any kind of shit like that. Like, it's never been something that I've desperately wanted to go and watch at movies.
The thing that bothers me about Batman and Joker and all of the other characters that go along with it is every single time that they make a new portrayal of it, they change the storyline for everything.
Right.
And it bothers me.
So I'm showing Patrick a picture. That's the guy's daughter that's hiding in the closet
That's
in the
his
Tales from the
daughter.
Dark Side. And it's from the first
Holy.
season, so it's pretty ridiculous.
See this?
This is the guy's quote-unquote daughter. Yeah, it's real. It's like a real fucking weird. It's got Tales from the Dark Side has like Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark vibes, but it's more adult-oriented. And it's from the 80s, so it's got like that 80s schlocky horror feel, which is cool. But yeah, do you guys think the Joker's going to be good based on what you saw?
Just because it's Joaquin Phoenix, I think it'll be good.
You're a fan of him, hey?
Well, he's a good actor.
Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. Have you seen, what's it called? I think it's just called You.
Is that the one with where he falls in love with the robot?
Yeah, that was a fucking
I think it's called
brilliant.
Her.
Yes, that's what it's called. Great movie. Fucking, I cried so hard at that film, dude.
I haven't seen it, but
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard amazing things.
Nah, seriously, it is fucking difficult.
Yeah.
It is really hard. It is bizarre because it's just a fucking computer.
Yeah.
It's no different from a guy with a fucking...
Isn't it voiced by Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah.
Right.
It's literally no different from a guy that has one of those fucking anime body pillows that he humps to death every night.
Right.
But for some reason, it just really gets to you.
You know, sometimes pillow's better.
I'm writing my
All right.
summary right now.
All right,
so
keep chatting
What have
shit.
you all watched,
Yeah.
Kyle? I just figured this is like a fun thing to just get some discussion going and
Basically, I watch Netflix
okay.
and some YouTube, but
I watch a lot of YouTube too, but I don't think it really classifies.
I just finished watching season 8 of Shameless.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Man, I have not caught up on that show. I
Yeah,
think I have like
it's-
half the last season to go.
It's, to me, I think it's a pretty funny show. Lots of people don't though. Like, it's
Yeah,
a weird kind of comedy. There's a guy at my work that's from PA, and he said like he's been told by so many people to watch it.
Right.
And they're always like, yeah, it's like exactly like living in PA. But he still hasn't gotten around to watching it, which actually depresses me because I like love talking to him about shit.
Patrick, do you know Shameless?
Yeah,
I know they had the UK one, and then now there's the US one. Have you seen?
I feel like the UK one is probably a million times grittier and more disgusting.
So you've seen both then?
No, I've not seen either because they both look dog shit.
I would say I thought the same, and then when I watched the US one, I actually liked it quite a bit, just based on Kyle's recommendation.
Yeah, I feel like it's, I don't know, once you've met people like that in England, you kind of don't want to watch them on TV.
That's fair.
Once they've asked you for 20p for a bus, please, mate. You know, it's like, no, thanks. That'll do.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I've always wanted just to put one of them on a bus and see where they end up.
Well, that's kind of the idea of the show, is there's characters who do that to the character.
Oh, great.
Like the one guy, Frank, they like literally throw him off a bridge at one point because he's just a worthless drunk. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, what else have you watched, Kyle?
Pet Sematary.
Is that all you've been watching? Is just Shameless and Pet Sematary? Since it's been like
I got a life, dude.
a whole week.
No, I usually I don't watch a lot of stuff. I usually just like sit in my hot tub and listen to podcasts.
What have you been listening to? Because I'm a big podcast person too, and I like recommending podcasts too.
I have a hard time finding stuff I like.
Okay, well maybe
people's voices annoy me.
Maybe we can help listeners with that.
My voice annoys me.
That's fair. I would recommend for you then, I think I mentioned it to you, but Dax Shepard's podcast, it's called Armchair Expert.
Yeah.
It's really good. He just interviews famous people about their life and addiction and stuff like that. It's really, really entertaining.
Yeah, I thought of checking that out. I tried the Ron Burgundy one because you talked about it.
It's tough to get into at first.
I listened to the first couple episodes, and then they had the one where they're stuck on an elevator, and I can't anymore.
I only listened to the first one, so I'm not sure how it goes.
Right now I'm listening to this music one called High Five.
What's that
High
one?
Fives. Dad actually suggested it to me. I think they're guys from Calgary, and they like talk about music. They're like punk music snobs, I kind of think.
Right.
But they talk about like their top 5 albums or songs, bands, whatever it is at the time. Like the one that I just listened to was they called it Second Chances, and it was bands that they hated and they gave it a second chance.
Right.
And now they love them, kind of thing. So. And
that's like a whole podcast based on that?
No, like they have different episodes for everything.
Right. That's a good idea though.
But they all like
revisiting movies that you hate. Like we should do that with Enter the Dragon one day.
No, we shouldn't.
I think they got like 50 episodes. So
I will cut my own foreskin before I watch that fucking movie again.
Well,
you think I'm kidding?
I know a 4-year-old with a scalpel that can help you with
furnace turned off. That means it is time to get into Pet Sematary.
Well, not quite. We gotta figure out.
That would be a good segue.
That's our timer.
Does it turn on at the same time every day?
No, I have no idea how it works.
Well,
I think
that'd be a risky timing then.
Yeah.
Get halfway through the movie, furnace turns on. Fucking roll out, boys. That's all we get to watch.
So that's all you've seen then, Kyle, and all you've listened to recently?
Bar the porn, obviously.
Patrick's live feed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it's not been very entertaining recently. Mostly just eating and masturbating.
You play a lot of Red Dead.
I do recently. I've been. The online portion of that game is just fucking boring. But like, there's something about the campaign that's just really.
All the guys at work talk about all the time, and they get into real detail about their horse and how many times their horses have died and stuff. And I'm just like, fuck, man.
Oh man, there's nothing worse than running full tilt into a tree with your horse.
Oh, dude, it's embarrassing. Even though it's a video game and no one else is watching, you can't help but think, "Fuck me."
Right.
Why'd I do that? Honestly.
There's in Red Dead, there will be a guy having trouble with his horse, and he'll ask you for help. and you'll go to help him, and as he turns around, the horse will kick him in the back of the head and kill him. And that's like it. That's the whole how the thing plays out.
And then like I feel like it's just a test of conscience because you sit there on your horse like,
do I take this better horse or do I?
No, I'll just go loot his corpse.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
Or if you're me, you just throw a Molotov on him.
Right.
Just get rid of that.
Have you watched anything other than us, Patrick? Since we last recorded, we watched Sleepaway Camp last week, so it's been a while.
Oh, what have I? No, I really haven't been watching much at all. There's not been much on Netflix that I've wanted to watch. What did I? Well, me and Ralph were really, really, really fucking stoned, and we were watching we were watching Fear Factor. I'd never seen Fear Factor before.
Really? Like the Joe Rogan hosted episodes?
No, not Joe Rogan. It was basically ethnic Joe Rogan.
Like you gotta go back to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan is a good one.
But like, there was this fucking bit, and it was this small warehouse room, and they had 3 warehouse doors, and they had to like find the key for the right one to get out the room. But there was live alligators in there.
Oh yeah. They do that quite a few times.
No. The keys were stored in raw chicken.
Yeah.
With heads on them still.
I watched that. Actually, I revisited Fear Factor, I would say like 2 years ago, and that was the episode that I chose to watch too.
But if they get the wrong key, the door opens and it's just more alligators.
Yeah. But they can't see shit.
Yeah, no.
So they could just be going the wrong way the whole time.
There was one point where the guy, rather than searching the chickens individually, he decided to stockpile every chicken carcass in the corner of the room. And me and Raph were fucking dying, man. We were absolutely creasing. Like, I've never laughed so much because there was just this guy. You knew he couldn't see shit, but he just had this pile of dead chickens.
And he was throwing them back and forth because he would go to the corner where he was throwing them all, and then he'd be like, oh, there's like 6 over here. You're gonna throw them to the corner. He's like, jackpot. He was throwing them away.
He'd grab the alligator at one point and try to launch that into the corner as well. Like, oh no.
So are the alligators like? Do they have their mouths taped shut? Or?
No, these things
they're biting them.
They're biting them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they could.
How big are these alligators? Baby alligators?
Big enough to hurt you.
Okay, to hurt you or to like take a limb off?
I don't think they take a limb off, but they
jaws are like probably like that.
The funniest part about it though is like the timer in the corner. Like there was like one person that got out of there in like less than half an hour, and the rest are like 3 hours.
Jesus,
brutal, mate.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Good.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I'd be pretty good at doing Fear Factor all the way through, except for anything where you had to eat anything, because I cannot fucking stomach even looking at fucking chewing on a grasshopper.
We'll flip that on the head.
If I had ketchup, I reckon I could eat quite a lot of disgusting stuff. No, mustard.
I was gonna say Joe Dirt, just a fucking giant space shit. Patrick squirts the ketchup on top of it. He just starts digging right in.
Chow down.
I was gonna say we'll flip that idea on its head in a couple weeks here when we do our wing eating hot sauce challenge.
I can eat
and
that.
I'll be the one that bows out really quickly.
I can eat hot stuff. I just can't eat fucking.
How are you with hot food, Patrick?
Crawlies.
I'm alright with hot food. It's just I'll need Vaseline for my bumhole afterwards because that shit's gonna hurt, man.
Baby wipes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, baby wipes will do the job.
So we've been talking for a while now. I think it's about time to jump into some Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys want to start this off. Let's start with.
Well, I have my summary. If you wanted that.
Yeah, let's do that first. Let's hear
what this movie is about for the listeners.
All right, are you ready?
Right off the back of the DVD case.
Yeah, this is the official summary from IMDb.
Yep.
Okay. A family of genuine psychopaths take their cat into the countryside in an effort to calm its also psychotic moods. Upon befriending a seemingly random old man who seems to know how to bring back the dead using a dyslexic cemetery for pets, the cat is killed by either weather or a car. I don't fucking know. It's not important. After shouting "dead is better" a million times, the old man is ignored, and the fucking apeshit dad books it to the cemetery and buries the cat again. The cat basically goes mental and throws mice at the naked dad, but the dad still thinks it's a good idea to resurrect his dead son. Long story short, he keeps reviving dead people and doesn't fucking understand that it doesn't work very well. It's like going to your favourite restaurant knowing that you love the food, but you'll also get violent diarrhea afterwards. Also, the daughter is psychic.
I love that PS at the end. Also, the daughter is psychic.
So
That was good, man.
Yeah, it was good.
I love when you do those.
So the
I
dyslexic thing. Can I talk about this quick?
Yeah.
Because that really fucking bothered me when you said that it's spelt wrong. I looked it up. If this will load here in your basement.
Yeah, so the reason it is spelled like that, from what I remember, because I used to spell it like that as a kid just because of the book, was because the idea was that kids were spelling that for the sign. Is that right?
Something like that. So they were saying kids were just going there and burying their dead pets, and they're the ones that started the cemetery. And
I just pictured a fucking 10-year-old Judd burying his dog Spot going, sometimes dead is better.
Yeah.
He's like 12 years old. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah,
that'll happen from time to time.
yeah, that'll happen from time to time.
Also-
Dead is better.
do you think it
Candy's better.
is it pronounced cemetery or cemetery?
I guess
I've
heard
heard
depends if
You're saying two
Judd.
different words. You're saying cemetery and symmetry.
No, I've heard it pronounced like that before.
No, I've
Is
heard
that-
that too.
is
It's
that
just it's
American?
Cemetery.
I don't think there's like the proper pronunciation. It's just like the way I just said pronunciation, and some people say pronunciation. It doesn't fucking. It just depends person to person, I guess.
I've never heard
Pronunciation.
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 I've
But yeah, it just
Are you
depends
saying
person
pan
to
or
person.
pound?
Panned.
I don't know. Like Patrick says certain words a certain way, and we say it a
He's
certain
fucking
way.
British.
Right.
Hey, come on now. Don't be racist.
So it just depends on where you're from. So if you're from like butt fuck nowhere Maine, you'll start to say that is better. But if you're from
But even when I said that, when I said it's hard to say it,
Cemetery?
cemetery.
cemetery,
Cemetery.
Okay, we'll
I
be
can't
right
even say
back.
it.
Kyle's having a stroke.
Man, I've had like 6 on this podcast already.
Jesus.
This podcast has been brought to you by Strokey McStrokerson's Burning Toast
All right.
for all your breakfast needs.
Anyways, they spell it fucked up. Everyone says it fucked up. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato.
Exactly, that's the same
Gone.
idea. It's the exact same idea. Why
Bang
is this
it, gong, get it on.
I keep moving my mic too much. Okay, so the budget for this movie was $11.5 million estimated.
Wow, that's a lot.
Opening weekend, it made $12 million. So
Just
there you go.
broke.
It made 57 million grossed, and yeah, it was rated 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 50% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and 38% Metacritic score. Can you guess the Google users, Patrick?
83.
Ooh, not too bad. 89.
Ooh.
89% Google users liked this.
All right.
Do
Since next, I know you're gonna ask us our rating of this.
Well, I was gonna do that after. Normally, I do that after we read the reviews, but
I want you to tell the listeners our made up way of rating. Now, if you still have it.
How did I write that down? Okay, so our new scale system. We're going to be making a little bit of changes and trying to figure out how to implement them the next couple episodes. But Patrick, listen up. This is our new rating
I
scale.
read the message. I might not reply to anything, but I read most of it.
Well,
So
I never know.
Do with that what you will.
It's like sometimes it's like telling my mom, like, "Hey, you know, this makes me sick, and I have an allergic reaction to this food." And then the next week she makes it, and I just don't know why she keeps doing it.
Probably trying to kill you, dude.
Do you think, Kyle? Do you think that's true?
She's just forgetful.
Okay.
Oh no! Oh, he died.
So our scale is
Oh my God, you killed Kenny.
Sometimes dead is better.
Oh my fucking god!
So our scale is on a 1 to 5. I don't know why I picked 1 to 5. I thought it was easier initially. I guess it's no difference from 1 to 10.
I think it's harder, honestly. But
Fuck, are we all moving our mics a lot today?
if you haven't noticed, I always move my mic.
I know.
Shane,
if I
Shane
lean
is the
back at
worst
all,
for it.
But I don't actually touch the mic. I usually just move this thing when I move a little bit. But
Lean back.
so our scale is a 1 to 5. Would you prefer 1 to 5 or would you prefer to 10? Should we change that?
Well, it's a bit fucking late now, isn't it? How are we going to come up with another 5 tiers?
Yeah, let's
I don't
just go
have
with
to. These
5.
are all 0.5.
5. 5 it.
There's 10
Why did you
here.
do so many?
There's 10 here.
Yeah,
Should we do 1 to 10 or should we do...
No, do 5.
'Kay.
Because I think it's more brutal in terms of ratings.
Right. So
Yeah,
the way we're going to
hard
rate it,
critics.
the reason I did it too is because a lot of the rating sites like IMDb rate out of 5. Or actually they rate out of 10, but Kyle's got his knife out again. Just like good old Judd trying to take on a toddler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it's time for the switchblade.
You trying to fuck on me? Pulls out his knife. Okay, so our scale will be like this. Kyle, listen up. Put your knife away. 0.5, how the hell does this exist? 1 means you hated it. 1.5 means it's a very forgettable movie. A 2 means you disliked it and you wouldn't rewatch. 2.5, which is basically 50%, means, hey, you felt nothing one way or another. 3 means you thought it was a decent movie. 3.5 means you would recommend it to others. 4 means you would rewatch it and maybe buy. 4.5 means you're going to buy it or you want to own it. And a 5 means it's a perfect movie and you could watch it at least once a year. So, with that done, Patrick and Kyle, let's get our ratings out of the way first before we read these next reviews. What would you rate Pet Sematary 1 to 5, Patrick? Or I guess 0.5 to 5. It's tough. Hey, just even looking at it, you're trying to figure out how you feel about it.
Well, like, I didn't think it was terrible, but I feel like that's because we thought it was mostly funny in a lot of places.
I feel like that's the beautiful thing about these movies being so old, as well as there's that charm about it being funny, where if it was a new movie, if you went to the theaters and you saw this as a new movie, how would you feel about it?
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great at all. This one, I would probably give 2.5, probably.
2.5 means you felt nothing one way or the other.
Jinx, you owe me a pop.
That was
I
disgusting.
already gave you 4, so fuck off, Kyle.
Yeah, one of them had fucking pepper in it.
Well, Dr. Pepper.
No, there's pepper.
Kyle, what would you rate this movie 1 to 5?
I'd say 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thought it was a decent movie, but it doesn't get 3.5 because I would not recommend it to others.
You wouldn't recommend it to anybody?
No.
Even though you texted us, recommended that we watch this movie today?
Because the new one's coming out. That's the only reason.
All right.
I like how you were just looking at me for like acknowledgement. Like,
He's
you hear this?
Patrick, you see him getting wound up? You see that? You see him getting annoyed?
They just keeps opening his knife.
We'll have to get the fucking cattle prod out soon. Zzz. Down, boy.
I'm sitting at a solid 2.5 for this movie as well.
Yeah, right.
It's not the worst movie ever. It's not a bad movie either. It's like a movie that I can sit through, but it's not a movie I'm going to go out of my way to watch again unless
Definitely not a movie I could watch on my own.
It had a banging soundtrack, though. I think. Like,
you're
the two
not
songs
wrong.
in it were Ramon songs. So.
You're not wrong. I mean, it was like that's one of my criteria for a great movie. But the thing is the other two things were lacking in that movie. The performances weren't really great, and the comedy wasn't very great.
I thought the dad's performance was fucked up, man.
Yeah.
What was the point of him being so weird all the time? I didn't get it. Even when granted, his daughter was a fucking annoying little bint, but
I mean, yeah.
like he'd just look at her with a blank stare.
I don't know, man. I think like his personality up until I don't know. It was so hard to tell because at one point it seemed like he was like a loving dad, and then the next it seemed like he beat his wife. Like there was like an underlying tone of him just
Yeah.
being so aggro.
He just had that ridiculous amount of anger towards everyone else in the house.
He's like a dude that's like just itching to go crush a Bud Light and watch an MMA fight. And
The only one he was nice to was fucking, oh, don't go over there.
Oh, he's nice to his son. He
well,
loved that
was
little
he
prick.
though?
died.
Was he though? He
His
wasn't
son
nice.
died, Kyle.
Yeah, it wasn't his
He's
fault.
dead.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
He didn't push him in front of the fucking semi.
He might as well have.
Spoiler.
Neglectful parents. Just walks away.
Wrong way around, dude. Wrong way around.
Okay, so since we've already reviewed this, let us talk about these reviews from other people on the IMDb reviews.
Okay.
So I gave Kyle and Patrick each a review to read as well.
did.
I'll read mine first. This one is from Lily's Hotmail.
One,
is
two,
from-
three.
Nope, that's it. I made sure none of them had numbers this time because I know Patrick needed a break.
Yep. Thank you.
This one's from Lily's Hotmail 13. I guess that means Lily. No, I'm just kidding. From September 2014. It's a 1 out of 10, and the tagline is, "This movie sucks." I am a horror lover. Fuck.
You are?
I am a lover of horror movies. I watch them all the time, whether they are old or new. But this movie is one of the worst movies I have ever seen, in all caps. Scratch that. This is the worst movie I have ever seen in my whole life. Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, I think so. You didn't have to say scratch that at all.
The story
Maybe she
is
just had an itch.
The story is stupid. That was good. The story is stupid. The acting sucks, and there's nothing, and I mean nothing, scary about this sad excuse for a movie. At the end of the movie, the only thing that was horrific was that I had lost 103 minutes of my life on this train wreck. Do not waste. Why didn't she say semi-wreck?
It was only 103 minutes.
Only?
It did feel long.
Felt like a good 2 hours.
Well, fucking Sleepaway Camp was way shorter, and that felt long too. So I told you,
Nah,
hey,
I
buckle up, boys.
Fucking liked that movie. It was stupid.
Yeah, it was stupid good. Am I right? 3 out of 5, my boy.
Oh, yeah, it was insane.
Okay, so do not waste your time on this. You will be nothing but disappointed. Beating a dead horse with a stick would be better use of your time than sitting through 1 minute of this awful movie.
Sometimes that is bad.
I just picture a child riding on a horse and they're like, Mr. Judd, why is this horse not working? And he just goes, well, sometimes. Okay. Every copy of this should be destroyed so no one ever has to watch it again. And that's...
I don't understand these 1 out of 10s because they really seem like they were genuinely offended.
It's like that girl just got broken up with her like boyfriend of 2 years
like-
and then watched this movie and went and wrote a rant.
She's
about the fucking movie,
she's
took
just
out all
finished
her
the
anger
movie.
on it.
She's threw a rock at her TV. She's like,
yeah.
fucking piece of shit movie.
And she also paused to itch.
yeah. Oh, scratch that.
Scratch that.
That's great.
Fuck me, man.
Yeah,
Every
man.
time I hear that
Honestly.
now, I'm going to think of it. Typing away, type in a book,
If
scratch
someone
that.
says scratch that, just go, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe to only people that you know so you don't get arrested.
Unless you want to roll that dice, who knows? So 5 out of 10 will be the next one. I think that's Kyle.
That's me. All right, this one is...
And I didn't mean to like insult your looks when I said you were a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. I'm just going to read this in my monotone voice.
Oh, yeah. Good.
This review was written by Rectangular_Businessman in October 2012.
It's like a fucking indie band name.
So this dude probably watched this for like a Halloween movie because it's in October. It's 5 out of 10 review. The tagline is "The book was so much better." Warning: spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't gotten that by now.
Yeah. No, that was his tagline. Warning: spoilers.
Oh.
All right. While Pet Sematary wasn't too bad, at least it wasn't so bad as other adaptations of any Stephen King book into a movie, and it was certainly much better than the awful sequel.
I disagree. The sequel is fucking rad.
I think that the film doesn't make any justice to the original book, which was darker and more complex. It's because you can fit a lot more in a fucking book.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. That being said, I think that at least Pet Sematary. I don't know why he puts it. Every time.
This is the thing: is when you're reading other people's reviews, you have to read it in the stupid way that they wrote it,
Yeah.
and it's a little difficult sometimes. But
Do you want to read?
Just do your
Do
best.
you want to read?
Just do your best.
All right. Every time he puts Pet Sematary, he puts it in quotations. Anyways, that being said, I think that at least Pet Sematary was somewhat entertaining to watch, despite or maybe because of some cheesy scenes, particularly the ending, which includes a laughable special effect failure. On the other side, the atmosphere was pretty well done. There were a couple of interesting scenes, and Fred Gwynne?
Gwyn.
Fred Gwynne.
Yeah, was perfect in the Judd Crandall role. I guess that it could have been much worse, like Pet Sematary 2, but there are much better adaptations of books written by Stephen King, such as the original Carrie film, The Shining and Misery, and 1408.
And Thinner as well. I'd just like to add that.
So you did come to the conclusion that Thinner was
Which one's
better?
1408?
1408 has...
Is that the cell phone one?
No.
Oh, that's the cell.
1408 is
It's the hotel room.
hotel
right?
room
Yeah,
with...
that is a really good
what's
movie.
his name?
I don't think I've seen that
He's
one.
from Say Anything.
Yeah, I know.
I think Sam Jackson's in it too, isn't he?
Oh, what's his fucking name?
John Cusack.
John Cusack. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I knew it began with something.
I might have to
specific.
watch that.
Misery is really good too. if you
Misery
haven't
is a
seen
great
Misery.
movie. Carrie is, I mean, it's good, but it's older.
Yeah. The Shining
Done.
is...
Shining.
It depends on who you ask, but I think Nicholson's a fucking nutcase, so it's perfect casting.
Right on.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I think the reason the dude was putting Pet Sematary in quotations was because of the way that it was spelt. It's
Yeah.
like one of those snobs being like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't spell cemetery this way.
I am not a child anymore.
I love that. If I tried doing that, I'd just sound so douchey. Or you'd make fun of my smooth jazz voice.
Yeah. Smooth jazz voice.
All right, so Patrick's got our 10 out of 10.
Gravelly
I think-
trash voice.
I think from now on, I'm going to get you to read the 10 out of 10 ones because you almost always give it one of the lowest ratings. Every movie that we watch. So I think it's just
that's fair.
hilarious if you just give it like the 10 out of 10.
All right, okay. So this is from Spooky Duke, which is quite a cool name, to be fair. I've had a few
Like
spooky...
a spooky like poop or what?
Yeah, I guess so. I've had a few Spooky Dukes in my time. From the 27th June 2003, so this is some time ago. I was 10 years old when he wrote this.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. He says 10 out of 10, best horror movie ever. One of the best, if not the best. Just repeating himself there. Sorry about that. Stephen King's screenings. Dark as dark can be. He might just be describing his Duke here, actually. Surprising non-Hollywood ending. Yeah. Terrifying atmosphere. Yeah, been there. Amazing book adaptation. Outstanding cast. Educational. Don't play with afterlife. Well, I think that's a given. Is it not?
Well, unless you're Judd Crandall, because sometimes.
That is better.
We should have a count going. We should have this a drinking game every time we say it. You take a drink.
In short, everything in excellent horror should be. I don't know about that, really.
That's a little bit over the top.
Like
but
this is probably someone that has one of those anime body pillows.
probably the writer.
Stephen King? Yeah.
Just boshing out 5-star reviews on his go. Like,
Also, he had a
Google
sweet
account.
cameo in the movie.
Yeah, he is an odd-looking guy. Isn't
Oh,
he?
fuck. Monkey Man.
He does kind of look like a caveman, hey?
Like
From
a
film
like
you
you just
call it.
thrown big glasses on him to like.
He's just like a really old Neanderthal.
Good writer though.
Oh, a fantastic writer, no doubt about that. Thinner, man.
Misery. It's a fucking
Thinner.
good one.
He also wrote my favorite horror movie, Straight Tenon. That's what that guy ended his review with. Is his favorite movie is Straight 10. Just finishing it off. But
I don't have that on the thing.
okay. Well, there we go.
So
Yeah,
I
that's what he's
guess
saying.
fuck you.
Okay, I'll take that into note. Let's talk about some trivia, though. So we're going to do this in order. Me, Kyle, Patrick We'll each have 3 things to share with listeners. There's fucking 70 plus.
3 paragraphs.
So if you want to read more,
Read
do
one
it
at
on
a
your
time.
Yep. All right.
own. Okay, so Stephen King once mentioned that the only novel he wrote that really scared him was Pet Sematary. That's the first piece of trivia there. And out of all the novels he's written.
Back then.
No, in general. He still says that. That's the only one that's ever scared him. So, but yeah. So Kyle, you're up.
Oh, fuck. That was yours, and you give me this fucking paragraph to read?
Yep.
All right. The story was inspired by actual events experienced by Stephen King that occurred while he was living in
Oregon?
Oregon.
Yeah, no, that is Oregon.
Oregano?
He was living there in Maine with his family. King recalled that while living there, his daughter's cat, Smucky, was killed on the highway. Much of Ellie Creed's emotional outburst was taken directly from King's own grief-stricken daughter. King also remembered that once his youngest son had nearly run onto the road while a truck was speeding down from it. Much like Gage does in the film, the character of Judd Crandall was based on the elderly neighbor that lived across the road from King. Also, there was an actual pet cemetery in the woods behind the King house, which became the basis for the one in the novel.
Okay,
Fuck,
so
man, if you don't want me to read these,
so
I will pass.
Okay, so TLDR, basically,
I haven't read since high school.
Basically everything in the movie.
Kyle, can you read this paragraph? Nope.
Basically everything in the movie and the book happened to Stephen King. His daughter almost got hit by a semi. They had a pet cemetery behind their house. It's all there. Why is that funny?
Just the word semi just tickles me, man.
Full tilt like a Peterbilt.
I fucking swear, if you open fire with that.
Open your mouth.
Oh my god, this is an audio podcast.
Here. It's
all right,
what the...
Okay. Patrick, you're up.
Okay.
Whoa. Kyle's shooting off firearms here.
Fuck me in the
Get
arse.
down.
Right. Okay. So it says trivia. Kenny, Kyle, then Patrick, and that's the reading order. So
Well,
I guess
you
it's me now. The idea for this story came about when Stephen King's daughter's cat, Smucky, was killed on the highway outside their home. Smucky's name appears on the gravestones in the Pet Sematary in both the film and the novel. Which is, I don't know, fine, I guess.
I know there's 70-some trivia facts, and I had to find some that were like the most interesting. The rest were just like...
Oh, I knew the... Can I read another one? Or are we taking it in turns?
We're doing orders. Just do it in the order that I gave you, because there's a reason for it.
All right.
So next up, we got... When Stephen King first wrote the manuscript for Pet Sematary, he shelved it. He put it on a shelf and didn't look at it. It was only
I know
when...
what the phrase shelved mean. Thank you, though.
It was only when his wife told him to publish it after finding it and reading it that he took it to the publisher. So this book might not have ever been written. This movie might have never been made. And the sequel would have never been made if his wife didn't be a nosy fucking bitch and didn't mind her own fucking business and stop snooping in his stuff. So thanks for that, Mrs. King.
You got just as mad there as the fucking doctor in the movie.
Yeah, man.
With his
Holy
wife.
shit, dude.
I'm glad you picked up on the joke. I love when I made a joke about that. Patrick goes, "Oh, I'm glad that I'm fake sex, or I can fake being sexist or something like that."
All right, so my turn to read.
Yep.
Everyone, listen up. Here comes another wild, crazy story from Kyle. All right. Stephen King is a big fan of the Ramones and referenced some of their songs in the novel Pet Sematary. In homage, the Ramones wrote and performed the theme song Pet Sematary, which is featured in the film's closing credits. The truck driver was also listening to Sheena is a Punk Rocker by the Ramones. Yeah.
Kyle, you're a fan of the Ramones, right?
I am.
Are you familiar with both of those songs?
Yes.
Did you know they wrote Pet Sematary for the movie?
Yes, I did. Dee Ramone wrote it with his producer.
Damn. Look at this guy. He knows all the fucking background.
I just looked it up.
I had a Ramones t-shirt when I was younger.
Yeah,
you
you did.
Did you like them, though, or were you like one of those fucking poser kids who likes punk rock and just wears Dixie Chick t-shirts?
Yeah,
Okay.
that one. I also
Oh,
didn't.
fuck.
He hasn't even got a lid on him.
I thought he was getting mad because I took a shot at him with that
Oh.
one. But yeah, so are you familiar with the Ramones then?
Nope.
No.
Don't really care for that kind of music.
Punk?
Yeah.
Pop punk.
Yeah, I guess so.
Actually, I'd call that like pop rock.
All right,
now.
Patrick, put your gun down.
I'm just gonna.
Just for listeners,
I've got too much air in it.
Kyle taught Patrick how to twist a empty water bottle and then shoot the top off like a rocket.
No, I know how to do it. Fuck
You
you.
learn something new every day, right?
Well, here's something else you'll learn from Patrick. The second trivia piece.
So fucking pleased with yourself. Jesus. Alright. The storyline revolves on the omen of being hit by fast trucks on the road. Stephen King would himself suffer a similar accident in 1999 when he was struck by a minivan while walking on the shoulder of Route 5 in Lovell, Maine.
And Maine is where all of Stephen King's books are set, and that's also
Really?
where he lives. Yeah, every single one is set in
fucking
Maine.
weird. Why would you ever go to Maine?
Well, I think that's kind of why he did that. Is nobody ever fucking goes there. It's its own little world. I think Kyle's familiar with that too, because me and Kyle kind of grew up around Stephen King stuff
Around Maine.
around Maine. So
Yeah,
many lobsters.
Lived right off Highway 5 for about 2 years.
Almost got hit by a semi. Full
Damn
tilt.
Orville trucks.
Full tilt
Cruising.
like Peterbilt. Okay. So I am on my last one. In Stephen King's novel, Judd mentions that a dog went wild in a nearby town and killed several people. This is a reference to the events of Cujo, another novel by King. It is common for characters in King's novels to mention the events of other novels. Also, I have a theory that Cujo, I mentioned it when it happened in the movie, but Cujo is actually a pet that was buried in the pet cemetery that dug its way out, made its way to a neighboring town, and started attacking people. Although I think
that's the dog, right?
yeah. So, but I think in the actual book, I think it's something stupid like just rabies or something is the way they explain it. But I think it would be a lot cooler if it actually had this subtle tie to Pet Sematary that way. But yeah, okay, Kyle, you're up, buddy. Your last fact.
Well, you
Don't
just
worry.
ruined my fact.
Did I though?
Yeah, when Victor Pascal is being carried into the clinic after being hit by a truck, a rabies poster with a picture of Cujo can be seen on the bulletin board by the stairs.
That didn't ruin your fact though,
Well,
did it?
He's still very disappointed, regardless.
Right.
you took all my shine. That's why I had no enthusiasm in my voice.
That's why. All right, Patrick, you're up, buddy.
Okay, the role of Zelda, Rachel's dying sister, was played by a man. Directed.
Tranny tricked, it was a chick with a dick that murdered them kids.
Wow. Yeah, I'm glad you played the full thing because I was nervous that you'd stop it halfway through. But
Right,
no, I'm glad
right.
we had to sit through that.
Do you want to repeat that trivia fact again though, so listeners get the joke?
No, I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. What did she say here? Yeah, director Mary Lambert decided that a 13-year-old girl was not scary enough, so she casted Andrew Hubatsik.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a name.
That dude had a fucked up back.
Yeah, she wanted it to make this seem like there was something off about Zelda, which I think worked pretty well.
Yeah,
that
was some creepy shit.
Yeah, it was nasty, man. I liked the way the whole thing kind of felt just like a disgusting fever dream.
Yeah, and I didn't get how they threw that in there, like just randomly.
Yeah,
she
it was
was
bizarre.
very upset about her sister out of nowhere.
Right. What do you think the
It probably made a
tie-in
lot
is?
more sense in the book, and then they were like, "Oh, this would be creepy. Let's throw it in the movie."
So I can assume, since Patrick hasn't seen the movie, I can assume neither of you have read the book either.
Nope.
All right.
I read like the first chapter.
I want to like go back and listen to an audiobook or maybe read it one day. Like, who am I kidding? I don't fucking read. I'll probably listen to an audiobook one day, and I might be able to fill you guys in on that eventually. But yeah, I think you're right where it's probably something in the book that just didn't translate well to film. but the imagery was fucking creepy. Just having the guy.
Yeah, no, like it was they're all good parts of the movie. It's just I wish they would have mixed it in a little better.
Yeah, maybe it was just the idea that evil place was able to manifest into things that people felt guilty about.
Yeah,
It could be.
'Cause that's what it usually is with stuff like that, isn't it?
I think I read a theory too that, especially that part later on in the movie, that when Gage is wearing the dress, that it's insinuating that the spirit of the sister was in Gage somehow. So like almost like you need a spirit from the afterlife to inhabit the body of the thing that comes back. Kind of like a Ouija board or something like that for like possession, but it's like reborn.
Yeah, I guess.
There's also another fact that I thought I gave to one of you guys, but I must not have, about there being a Wendigo in the movie.
No.
Do you know what a Wendigo is?
Yeah.
So apparently that part where he talked about hearing the loon the first time that they went. Apparently in the book there's a Wendigo that he mentions or is like insinuated in the book as well. So the whole idea is because it's a Native American burial site that there would be a Native American monster that kind of protects it. And the Wendigo would be that thing. And that's why at nighttime, when the dad goes to bring the body, Judd is just like, fuck that, I'm not going in the woods. Because if he knew that the dad was going to be going there anyways, he could have stopped him there or met him there. But instead, he just stayed home because he's like, fuck that, I'm not going in those woods at night.
Wendigos are terrifying.
Yeah,
They're,
it's
like,
fucking creepy
really fucking
folklore.
scary, yeah.
We should talk about that sometime because
Yeah, man.
like, I think
You've
it
seen,
originated.
I can see it over there. You've got Until Dawn, right?
Yeah.
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 That's fucking weird.
Such a good
super
game.
creepy, yeah.
But the Wendigo is something maybe we'll talk on a Life Legends. I think that'd be cool because I think
Yeah.
it originated in the, like either the northern U.S. or southern Canada. I think like southern Manitoba or something, southern Saskatchewan even, is where the folklore came from.
not a fact. We'll look it up.
No, that's why I'm saying I think. But yeah, that'd be fun to talk about. So do you guys just want to talk about things in the movie that you liked and didn't like now? We'll just hop into that after the trivia and shit. I think it's kind of funny right off the bat that watching Sleepaway Camp, we saw a woman on screen and Patrick assumed that it was a man. And then on here we saw a man and Patrick assumed it was a woman and he never questioned it once.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of weird how that works?
He's got a good tell.
I guess I'm talking by myself now.
Sorry.
So the movie starts with the family moves to a new house, and then the cat gets, as Patrick stated in his summary, either frozen to death or it's assumed hit by a truck.
I doubted if it was even that fucking cat. The timeline of this movie makes no sense whatsoever.
In
There's
what
parts
way?
that didn't. Because the cat was literally like sitting right beside them, and then all of a sudden it cut, and then he got a phone call saying your cat's laying outside here.
And the cat was frozen to the ground. It was the middle of the fucking day.
I didn't notice the cat was there. I remember you saying that, but I didn't notice the cat was in the room.
Yeah,
with
cat
him.
was in the same room as everyone when they were packing.
So yeah, the family moves into a new home. And how do you feel about moving two young kids and a pet onto like one of the busiest fucking highways ever without a fence or anything?
I don't think it's a busy highway. I think it's just to get to the gas pump. That's where those trucks go down to fill it.
Right, but still, like, how do you feel about, like, for me, if I was to move into that house, the very first thing I would do would put up a fence.
No, I just put a fucking speed bump up there.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. That's an idea. Good idea.
You just see fucking trucks just launch it in the air, hey?
And they would have probably taken the fucking kid with them.
Yeah.
Just clips his chin and just fucking flies out into space.
Hair tangled in the bumper and he's flying in the air. All right. That's
Comes
not
back
something
as
to
a
joke
space
about, you
zombie.
guys.
Just a fucking semi in the stratosphere.
All right, anyways, yeah.
And then it comes back as Maximum Overdrive semi trucks, which we'll get to one day. That movie is amazing. So the neighbor Judd takes the neighbor to bury their cat in an Indian burial ground because Dad is better, but apparently as a cat, it's not. So he wants to bring the cat back to life so that their daughter has a little bit extra time to learn about death and get closure, which I think is kind of ironic because, like, within 20 minutes, her entire family is then murdered and she has to learn about death that way. So,
Yeah. There was just big chunks of this movie that kind of just breezed right over my head. It didn't seem like they were in any way contributing to the story.
So I know the book is about 3 inches tall.
Jesus.
Like there's a
Thick?
lot of shit. Yeah, like thick.
Bigger than my semi.
And there's a lot of pages in that book. There's a lot of material in there. I don't think putting it into an 103-minute movie, they had enough.
No,
fucking-
definitely not.
right, like even with
You know?
it, they had to split it up between 2 movies. Or like a mini series, but this they tried to condense it enough to fit into one movie, and then you have to like try and figure out, okay, the daughter's psychic. Okay, what is this like student who got brained by Semi as well?
It almost
have to
seems
do with
like
it?
it
Like-
almost seems like the guy who wrote this movie only read half the novel,
Yeah.
or just was skimming through it and fucking picked out what he wanted and
Just
threw it
walks
in
into
movie.
the boardroom
Do
the
you
next
know-
day like, so everyone read the novel? Oh, yeah.
He's like, "What's it about?" he makes a fucking point form jot notes of what's it about, and he's like, "All right, we're making a movie. That's exactly what I got from it too."
Cool, cool.
And you know what makes that extra funny is Stephen King is the one who wrote the screenplay for this movie.
Wow.
Well, that's shitty. Fucking memory loss.
So
Stephen, what's the book about? I don't know. My wife read it.
oh, there was a truck.
Yeah, my wife read it. He just gets her to give him like the recap real
Yeah.
quick, and he writes it down. He's like, the daughter was psychic. Are you
Yeah,
sure?
while they're filming the movie, she calls. She's like, "I remember something else. The daughter was psychic." He's like, "Right, let's
Oh,
put
really?
that in there."
Fuck, I must have been fucking high while I was writing this shit.
He's like-
Okay, daughter fucking psychic. All right, cool.
Yeah,
See
he's
ya.
like, I'm already at 100 minutes. I don't know what you want me to do with this. She's like, you can fit 3
yeah,
minutes of her being psychic.
revive the cat. Revive the
There was
cat.
3 different times where the daughter like was like, "I had a dream." It was just 1 minute each.
Yeah,
he just
man.
fucking filled those last 3 minutes.
Jesus.
And then like the scene with the guy getting hauled into the hospital, I think that was basically only done for the special effects and just to have the ghost there. I guess in the book, I'm assuming the ghost is kind of supposed to be helping somehow. But if anything, he basically was just kind of feeding the carnage by bringing the wife back.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? Dad has watched or has read this book a couple times, I'm sure. Before we come back and do our second take of this, let's just ask him some shit from in the book.
Well, we're going to go to the sequel. We're going to bring our dad to the sequel.
Yeah.
It's not
Or not sequel, remake.
Not my dad as well, by the way.
Could
Mine
be.
and Kyle's dad.
Yeah, their dad. My dad is somewhere.
Right. Shout out to Kev Dog for letting us borrow this movie, by the way. So we can ask him what he thinks about the book compared to the original movie, because he's probably seen it a dozen times too. He's a huge Stephen King fan. And maybe even depending on when we end up recording after the sequel and stuff, I might drag him back here to just talk about it on the podcast and stuff too. He's awkward as
He
fuck,
won't
so
say
you can
much.
be ready for that.
He's quieter than me.
Yeah, and quieter than Patrick looking at his phone. So, which happens, I'd say 90% of the podcast.
Hey,
He was just looking at you. You're distracted with your pants
I'm trying to organize my lift home.
So, yeah. What else is fucking weird about this movie? The kid only murders people when he comes back to life. So Gage gets hit by a semi.
Yeah.
The dad digs him up.
Wait.
And then-
What do you mean he only murders people when he comes back to life?
No,
think he
just
should
wait
have
a
done it
second. No.
before?
I was gonna. I'll finish my thought. But so Gage gets hit by a semi, gets buried in the cemetery, a normal cemetery. The dad goes and digs him up during the daytime. Cuts to him digging up the body at nighttime. So he's presumably been there for like at least 6 to 8 hours.
Just hanging out.
And then he starts digging up at nighttime, and cops finally show up when he's almost done digging, and they shine the light directly on the dude's fucking tools that he has to dig up a fucking body and a bag that's just resting on a gravestone. And the cops shine the light on it, hold it on it, and they're just like, huh. And then they shine it away and keep driving.
Yeah, it was probably just the one guy in the cop car, like, yeah, nope, not tonight. Not tonight. I've got food on the way. I'm 5 minutes off from clocking out. Yeah. Not today.
Yeah.
See ya.
It's just little things like that that make the difference, right? And then Gage ends up coming back to life, and
yeah, I don't understand how all of a sudden he was back to life, but he was also dressed very smart.
Yeah, that was his funeral clothes.
Yeah.
Nah,
yeah, they put him in a.
No, he was in a suit.
Yeah,
he wasn't wearing a suit. He was wearing a fucking weird dress.
No, that was
the dress was after.
That was a suit, so it was like it wasn't like a tuxedo with like a shirt underneath and a dress shirt and stuff.
You sure know a lot about dead kid clothes.
Funeral clothes.
I just watched the movie.
Funeral clothes.
I don't know what you just watched. This movie's like based like quite a few years ago, so it wasn't like they had different clothing, Patrick.
And I think honestly though, like when you go to funerals and stuff, when you do put people to rest, it's normally in either quote unquote their nicest clothes, or you buy a new suit or a new dress for the person. Oh yeah, I know. Right?
But like,
so a kid in a suit isn't fucking weird when it's their funeral. If it was a kid in their suit and it wasn't their funeral, then you're fucked. If there's a toddler walking down the street in a suit and no parents around, you better fucking hide, buddy.
Yeah,
that's not even the weird part about the kid coming back to life.
It was the giant stapled shut forehead, or what?
Yeah, that was a bit sketch.
It was also the fact that he dug his way out of a freaking grave,
a rock burial,
and a rock burial on top of him in like half an hour.
Well,
yeah, he booked it back to the house.
You're forgetting he had the strength of the sister Zelda because she possessed his body.
The strength of the crippled sister Zelda. Yeah, the immobilized woman man.
He was walking pretty goddamn straight for a chick with a crippled back.
Yeah, man. He was cruising, dude.
I don't think it's in the same body anymore.
Do you not see that fucking leap at the end? Doubt she could have done that.
Yeah,
shit.
that's you mean that doll that leapt onto him?
Yeah,
is that what you're referring to?
The one that Stephen King threw from the attic.
In that one like review, or no, the fucking trivia. Which part were they talking about? That was like a ridiculous.
For which trivia?
I can't remember. I think it was the one I read. And it was like ridiculous fucking prosthetic shit. Here, let me look.
I don't. Oh,
it was probably the when the baby was like actually flying about. That's probably the prosthetic stuff that they were talking about, or the dead.
The bad prosthetic scene. Yeah, it was probably that.
It was all jammed.
Even when Judd was dead, it was pretty good. When his Achilles got sliced, was pretty cringeworthy. Like not bad cringe, but
it was like his foot was made of Jello and cake.
Right, and it just cut right through.
Oh yeah, it was a review.
But yeah. You only
ending, which includes a laughable special effects failure.
Oh, maybe with the wife's pus squirting onto him, and he was making out with it.
What happened with the eye there?
Well, so it showed the kid went to the mom to play with her.
Yeah.
And then you just heard off camera that she was getting attacked, and I'm assuming that's because they wanted to reveal later what she actually looked like. And then So this is what I was going to say earlier. I thought it was kind of funny, or not like strange, how the kid gets brought back to life, but only kills people in Judd's house. Like, he doesn't go back to his own house and murder the dad or anything. He literally just brings everybody to Judd's house. And I wonder if there's some sort of like metaphor or some bullshit there where it's like...
Well, was that the same place that got burnt down?
It was the same house.
And I think that's what they were trying to say, is the place that got burnt down from the last time someone was brought back to life, he built his house on top of that place.
When did that happen? Did they say that at all?
Yeah, it was the kid that came back from World War II.
Right, but I don't remember them saying he built his house back over top of it.
Well, it was in the same place, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, was it?
You could tell it was
like right
place.
across the street from the Pet Cemetery.
Like visually, it was the same place as that guy's house. It looked similar as well.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't remember that, but
It was probably just like a throwback to that event.
Because I just thought it was weird. Like, it would have been so easy for him to just go back to his house and like, because he kept saying "daddy" and shit. Like, it would have took him 2 seconds to cross that street
Actually,
again.
no, it couldn't have been the same place because he had buried his dog there, and then that person was buried after. So his house was already there because that was the same house he grew up in.
Yeah, because his mother was there, and he came out and was like,
Yeah.
he looked like a fucking weird version of himself as a kid. He looked like Simple Jack from fucking
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder. He came out on the porch and
Something
was like,
about the house, though.
yeah.
It's probably in the book.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, no, I just thought it was kind of strange how that was done. And like you guys said, like, what's the point of the sister being brought up? Like Zelda brought up throughout the movie. And also, how dare their fucking dad bring up that Gage was killed when he, like, literally neglected his daughter to starve to death and die? And, like, what the fuck? It's just such a strange, like, trail of events in this movie that make no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, though, there wasn't anything I hated, though.
Oh no, there was nothing exclusively bad about the movie, really.
Right.
I feel like it was just one of those quite well made 80s movies. Or like 80s horror thriller movies.
This movie, if anything, had a ridiculous amount of, like, the moments where it's like unbelievable character moments.
Yes.
Like when the father just keeps jumping over dramatically, or how annoying the little girl was. Which I also, fun trivia fact about that little girl, she would not cry when she was laying in that bed. And the actor had, like, told her to think of something sad to do it, and she wouldn't do it. And the only way to get that little girl to cry is to offer her more money.
Wow.
And it worked, obviously, because she was crying in that movie.
Amazing.
But
She was a horrible fucking actor.
Yeah,
she was fucking 5.
I
Yeah.
did. I mean, the scene where the kid got hit by the truck. I have to admit, I was pretty engrossed in that
Yeah.
because it was like it was a pretty good.
Well, you were
build-up.
waiting for it too, yeah. Especially
'cause
after that fucking student
Yeah.
got beamed by a truck or something and got.
Like, you knew the kid was gonna get hit by it, but it was just like the build up to it was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I wonder if in the book it talks about how that Victor Pascal died too, like what happened to him. He obviously had some kind of accident, but looked like it was like maybe it happened at a school or something because there was a bunch of kids fucking carrying him in.
Right. Like maybe it was like actually.
Well, he looked like he was in running clothes.
Like actually
Yeah.
maybe somebody pushed him into the road as a joke and he got hit by something. Or I wonder if there's like some sort of malicious intent there too.
Yeah.
But what do you think soured the ground? Like, why don't you think there's a bunch of like zombie Native Americans walking around if that was their burial ground?
I don't know. That kind of culture is very interesting as well. Like the lore behind all of that sort of
Yeah.
stuff is super bizarre.
Because that was
'Cause,
one
like,
thing I was thinking about.
And this is the thing with a lot of stuff, right? Like all the mad shit that Christianity talks about. Like it's very say none of that shit had ever happened before, right?
Right.
How does someone just think that up? Like it's all got to be based off of something.
Peace pipe.
Well,
But like the original source of that event happening. Like it has to have been based off of something that actually happened. Probably not to that extreme.
I think the imagination is a super powerful thing.
And it obviously it will grow like throughout time as well.
Right.
But like the Wendigo. Like
Well, so that story is based on a true story. From what I know, it's based on a story of a family in the winter that was starving, and
they ended up
they
having
got
to eat
snowed in.
themselves, right?
And
eat
the
each other.
father ended up eating everybody in the end, and he was the only one left, and he thought he had supernatural abilities about it. So every winter he went out and he hunted people to eat, and gave them superpowers or whatever, and it turned into a beast. Is the like folklore.
His superpower was filling his stomach and not feeling like he's gonna die anymore.
Yeah.
Well, so like I compare the Wendigo to have you guys seen Split?
No.
Yes.
So I compare it to the Beast character in Split. When I think of the Wendigo, that's what I think of. But yeah, in this movie, honestly though, if they would have plucked in an actual Wendigo, would have made the movie a million times better.
Man,
for me.
Yeah.
like that's what I'm excited for this next one because the shit that they could do
Well, even just, have you seen the trailer at all, Patrick?
No, I'm not going to watch
I
it.
haven't watched it yet, and I don't want to.
No, yeah, me
Okay,
neither.
I won't say anything, but I will say that there are masks involved, and I am excited that they're playing with costumes a little bit more than this movie did, because all they really had for costumes was a boy in a suit, and otherwise it was just, fucking weird.
I wish they would have just like made that little boy's top of his head just fucking ripped off.
Just a complete mess.
Yeah.
Right, and then just had a complete stitch, his neck completely stitched up when they brought
Yeah.
him back to life. That would have been cool.
Because like his
They
head would have come off.
Well, I read in the trivia as well that the ending was apparently supposed to be way less graphic than it was, and then apparently they showed the movie to the studio execs, and they were like, "No, you got to make this worse. Like this is too tame." And then they started squirting pus, and
Yeah, that'll do
so,
it.
how do you feel about the ending? Before we wrap this up,
It's just okay. So the dad's dead at the ending. Spoiler. But what about who's gonna like? What happens to the fucking mom? She's the only one left alive.
I guess
She's dead but alive.
Well,
so does she go on to attack the town like the other dude did until they kill her?
or does she take the dad back to the cemetery and bring him back so he's also like her?
Yeah.
And then they take the kid's burnt body back to the cemetery and give him like another revive.
I can't remember.
And they all just attack the town.
I can't remember the sequel, but it could be something like that.
But okay, so what would let's do this then. We'll do two things. What do you think of the ending? And then
Okay.
we'll do what would you guys do for a sequel based off of just what we saw. So for the ending, how did you feel about it, Patrick? Because I thought the ending was dog shit. I hated the ending.
It was garb. It was
It felt like a cop out to me.
yeah, it was like, oh fuck, we're already at 103 minutes. We can't put in any more things about the girl being psychic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just finish it there, Jim. Leave it.
See, I almost feel like it would have been more effective if they took the route of the short story, The Monkey Paw, where there's all this tension built up that the woman's going to be there behind the door, but when he opens the door, she's not there. And maybe something happened with the pet cemetery where there was enough sacrifices or something done where the curse was broken, so nothing
or it
can be
only
brought
worked
back
on
anymore.
men or something.
Yeah.
Well, because they kind of
They were
talked
nodding that
about
it was only
going to
men.
work on men,
Right.
and but then she came back at it. But when they said that, like there was some quote that is something man's blood has stones or some shit like that.
Right.
And I was thinking, well, him burying the wife, maybe she will come back normal, and that's what I thought was going to actually happen because I couldn't remember the ending of it.
Yeah. Well, she was all fucked up too.
Yeah.
Did you like the ending though?
No.
What would you guys do for the sequel? Would you do what you just said, Patrick, where they're basically like zombies walking around town, or what would you do?
I wouldn't have necessarily made a sequel. I would have just made that movie a bit longer.
Yeah.
Right.
Finished it off.
I would have made it. I'd have had more backstory about the woman that killed herself. Mm-hmm. I'd have more backstory about the sister, how that incorporates into the story. Maybe even more backstory on Judd as well, and what his mum actually saw.
Yeah. And then have like the little psychic girl, like basically she has a dream and sees all of this play out.
Yeah.
And then she like goes back and she's like, I gotta kill both my parents.
She's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's psychic. She's
Right.
like
Yeah.
fucking 30.
I mean, you could have even had it as like the Wendigo was kind of involved and trying to get people to bring their dead loved ones to that cemetery so that they could feed on it.
Right. That would be sick. See, I would do a similar take to like It, where it would be the daughter's the only surviving member of the family, right? And obviously, after a few months, the wife's parents or whatever have to go back and clean things up, take care of business, whatever. But maybe they keep the house for whatever reason. They don't sell the house. They just hold on to it. And when the daughter's old enough, she goes back to look into it. And she has her psychic powers and shit. And she meets townsfolk that kind of tell her stories and ramblings about like dead that have been brought back to life. That her family's hated because they attacked people in town and all this stuff, right? So maybe the parents made their way out in town all those years earlier and attacked people, and they just thought maybe the parents were like drug addicts or something like that were attacking people.
Or she starts asking people a bunch of questions and they start telling her to leave the town.
Right. Or maybe she goes back and she meets a Native American man
Judd.
who says the only way they can break the curse is if they fight the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe that's what it is that cursed the land.
And they walk
Seriously,
into the
guys,
forest.
we should make sequels.
Yeah, they walk into the forest and all they hear is well, sometimes
Dad is better. And then it turns around and it's Judd just standing there with his fucking half his face missing. And that's the end, right?
That'd be cool.
And then he
But it's like, it's not in his voice. It's like a really fucked voice.
and then the way the movie actually ends, literally 2 seconds after he says that, is, well, sometimes the end is better. And the credits roll, right? Yeah.
Fuck me.
Well, that's pretty much it, I think, that we got to talk about for the first Pet Sematary. I'm excited to watch the sequel or the remake now, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch fucking anything to do with it.
I feel like you really have to fuck up a movie to not do this movie justice as a remake.
Yeah, because the movie itself wasn't a good enough original to...
It's a really cool idea, though.
Yeah, it's a fucking banging idea. But the original movie itself wasn't a cult classic enough for people to be like, no, it was nowhere near the original movie.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, no one's going to be sat there like, nah,
Yeah.
the 80s one was better. Because realistically, children's TV shows are better than that movie. But
I'm going to definitely listen to
Yeah.
the audiobook as soon as I can, and I'll fill you guys in on any details that I find out about that.
yeah, I mean, you'll probably be listening to it until they make a third sequel.
I don't think it's going to be that long for an audiobook. It's probably like 20 hours. You could probably bust that out like
Yeah, I
2
guess.
weeks after work, just throw it on.
I don't really read much at all. I hate reading.
I do too.
But
That's
there
why
was-
I've been doing audiobooks.
There was one book that I read, and it was about this IKEA shopping mall. But there was a bunch of stuff happening at night.
Okay. Was it called Chopping Mall?
No, it was like it was formatted like a catalog.
Okay.
But then this girl was like, she got trapped in there overnight because she worked there. And she was walking around, and you know, like you ever been to IKEA?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the fake, you know, they have like cupboards and stuff like that. But they
Right.
just have like the door on the wall, and it's just solidified to the wall. Like you can't open it, but it's
Right.
just there so you can see what it looks like on a wall, essentially.
Real fake doors. I got you.
Yeah, but she walked down, and all of them were open, and they all had corridors inside them.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was like, that's the only book I've ever read from start to finish.
And when did you read this?
A couple of years ago.
Do you remember what it's called?
No, but I can
You
find
should
out.
find that out for next time, because I'd be interested in
Yeah.
checking that out.
It wasn't like a normal book. It wasn't.
Is
super
it like
long.
a horror movie or horror book, sci-fi?
Yeah,
What
it's a
is
horror
it?
book
Yeah.
for sure. It's fucking creepy, mate. Really
Crazy.
creepy.
Yeah, definitely find that out for me. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, but Kyle, do you got anything you want to add, or you're good? Do you got anything you want to plug? It's been a while
No.
since you've done that.
Yeah, my new band Stained is actually releasing an EP.
Their new EP is Sometimes Dead is Better.
Oh, that's a banger.
If we ever start a new, I got it right here. This week's episode was sponsored by Sometimes Dead is Butter Margarine Company.
Wow.
No, but that's it for this week, I guess. For Pet Sematary, I'm your host Kenny, Kyle, and Patrick, and I guess
Tell your friends about our podcast,
Yeah, please.
and
'Cause
like
this is-
all of our posts, share our stuff,
right. Make sure to tweet Judge Reinhold.
spread the word.
Yeah,
Oh,
Time to end it.
That's our cue.
that's our cue.
That's all we've got time for. The generator's run out of juice.
But yeah.
perfect.
So the next episode will be on the Pet Sematary remake. So yeah, until then, fuck Judge Reinhold and fuck this movie. Sometimes better.